Hi, good evening everyone. Welcome to Boss versus Coach. बुरा जो देखन मैं चला बुरा ना मिलिया कोई जो मैं दिल देखा अपना मुझसे बुरा ना कोई. This is the famous proverb from Sant Kabir Das, and I'm sure you all be aware of this. So when I started my show tonight with on a different note with a doha, we all start our day with one common theme, and that theme is the mirror. We all look at the mirror to set our face for the world, to set ourselves for the world. But have we ever thought of putting some more time to that and set ourselves for the world? To have an introspection of ourselves, to see where we are heading towards, and what we are believing and what we are demonstrating. I can tell you that mirrors are the most underused coaching tools we all own. We have workshops, mentor, coaches, psychometric assessments, surveys, all they are valuable, but the fastest way to check your own impression is that unblinking reflection. Mirrors don't create bias. They don't know you by your visiting cards. They don't know by your designations, how popular you are on LinkedIn. But what they do is to get you to attend to the some of the very realistic and striking questions. How did you perform? Did you hold on to your values when under pressure? Do you follow you today? Did you demonstrate it listening when it mattered? So tonight we are back with a hard-hitting and striking episode on Mirror is the Mentor and why leaders need to coach themselves first. It's not about criticism, it's not about blame, it's about courage. Because unless we set right the person in the mirror, we cannot lead everyone else in the world. To discuss on this important issue and to understand how leaders can self-coach themselves, we have with us tonight two very important guests, in fact one. So Olivia is the co-author, friend, co-host. Welcome Olivia to the show, and we have Vasudha Ahuja. Welcome back Vasudha. Vasudha has been to our show before, and Vasudha is the owner of Happy Turtling. So before I go to Vasudha, I'll ask initial comments from Olivia. On Olivia, your take on the mirror magic.
It's an interesting thing because I think, however leaders face the world, most of us have our own doubts about ourselves, and we go out into the world wanting to know that we're a good person doing the right thing. So you're right, actually taking a moment just to really look at ourselves and reflect in the mirror to ourselves. What did I do today? What did I do yesterday? Am I happy with how I've come across this week? And really just challenge ourselves to know that we are being the people that we want to be. I had a very touching conversation with a student on one of my programs the other day, a senior leader, learning coaching skills, and he actually said, I really thought that I was coming across really well. I believed that people trusted me, leaned on me, liked me as a leader. And then as I started to use the coaching tools, I noticed how their behaviour towards me changed. And actually they started to be a little bit more honest about how much better it was to be with this new version of themselves and how much that hurt. Because he hadn't meant to not be a great person every day up until then. He just wasn't self-aware enough to notice what was going on, how people were responding to him. So, yeah, you've got to start with actually knowing you're not perfect, but also then reflecting on how. How could you change? What is it that you could make small changes to be a better person, better leader?
Absolutely. Welcome again, Vasudha. I would like you to introduce yourself, tell the viewers about the work that you are doing, which is exceptional, and also your initial thoughts on when we say mirror is the mentor, what does it feel like to you?
Thank you so much, Mohit and Olivia, for having me again. Last time we had a wonderful conversation, and I think the topic today is also just a next level. We're going deeper into it. So, as to introduce myself, yes, I am the founder of Happy Turtling. But what is Happy Turtling? That's sort of the brand that I go by for my coaching and therapy practice. I was a corporate lawyer for almost 4 years before I transitioned my career into the coaching and professional development space. So, specifically, I work with young professionals, mid level professionals, and entrepreneurs, whether individually or by partnering with enterprises. So essentially, that would be their employers to help them with their professional development, any changes or growth that they go through, using coaching and therapy to help them with workplace well being as well. So, with that context, and to answer your question about what my initial take on today's topic is, um, I love this topic because at Happy Turtling, we have certain levels of change or transition. And there are about 5 or 6 sort of stages that you go through whenever you want to transition anything. That could be, just up leveling or, just moving into a higher level of confidence or clarity, for instance, right? Whatever it is. The first two stages, the first one is awareness, and the second is acceptance, right? So, our values at Happy Turtling and the work that I do start with self awareness and self acceptance. And when it comes to the concept of the mirror as a mentor, particularly for someone in a position of a little bit of authority or leadership, like a boss, for instance, it becomes even more crucial to be aware of the place you are showing up from, right? Am I showing up from an unhealed place, a place of fear? Maybe, you know, I mean, you're in a senior position, so you've gone through some experiences. You were treated a certain way by, your authority figures. Am I showing up from that place? Is it helpful? Is it actually conducive or not? And when I say fear, or when I say, sometimes um, a boss may be a little triggered or irritable, or come on with some amount of pressure. I think it I think that's the point where they might want to check in to say, is there something about myself, my situation, or my life that I'm not accepting? And that's why I'm coming across this way. And I think it starts there because for all of us, we're unable to accept others as they are. If if I mean, there's a lower level of acceptance if there's a lower level of acceptance for yourself. So I think that's the theme in my mind for today's discussion.
Now, thanks, Vasudha, and it was great to have you on the show again. Vasudha, I want to understand, why do leaders avoid self-reflection even though they understand that it's critical?
Why do leaders avoid self reflection even though they understand it's critical? I think um, it's become deep seated a little bit, that my voice only matters when I reach a certain level. So once I've reached there, and my journey to reach there has been of maybe being suppressed or maybe feeling undervalued, or that, it doesn't, what I have to say doesn't matter. Then when I reach there, I no longer have space to hear another. And it sort of starts there. Um, in this journey of learning, sort of, that my voice doesn't matter, they aren't trained or they don't learn to hear their own voices. So when you reach there, and maybe a coach or a leadership expert comes to tell you what are the tricks and hacks that you may use to improve as a leader, or a position in some kind of authority, it sort of surface level. It doesn't go deep enough because it doesn't make sense. It seems foreign. So the resistance comes from actually not knowing how to do it, not being equipped about, okay, how do I get this awareness about myself? What does it actually mean? That's one. And other than the how, it's also like, I'm not ready to face myself. I've just like I told you, like I mentioned acceptance before, sometimes we avoid awareness because we don't want to accept. And that could also be a very subconscious resistance. It doesn't have to be, very conscious, but it's there. And I don't think it's just leaders. I think it's everyone. It's a very human thing too. It's become, a human thing. Unless, of course, you've built that muscle over time to be like, I want to know myself. I want to be aware of these things. That takes time. That's actually a learning curve. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Vasudha. Olivia, your take on this, and also, do you feel that there is some amount of fear with people at the top to do a self-reflection because they are so used to praise, recognition, being the role models for many that they don't want to look in within and see where they are lacking. Is that the fear, or is it like they don't feel like bothered about doing a
So
self-reflection?
I guess I struggle a little bit with the idea that people know it's critical. I think people don't. And I think when people, are you reflective? People are, oh yeah, but I've been thinking about what happened in that meeting. So yeah, that's not just the content. If you're talking about personal change and behaviour, it's reflecting on the behaviour. How did you feel? Did you have a trigger inside you that made you do a particular thing which wasn't such a nice behaviour? Did you not even notice that other people were trying to do something different in the meeting because you were just piling on? So I think that actually reflection isn't normal practice for most people, and partly because everyone's too busy. People have meetings back to back to back. So you've got your 9 till 10, your 10 till 11, your 11 till 12. Have a moment, cup of tea, on to the next ones. So at what point do you actually sit back and think, what just happened? Normally, it's very forward looking. It's like we've got the actions, we know what we've got to do, let's go do them. And I also notice very rarely do you have proper, honest feedback loops on projects. When do you actually have a really honest project review where every person on the project gets to say what's important? More often than not, it's people going, we hit the target, we hit the deadline, where's the next one? So one of the things about reflection, and it's a lovely quote, I think it's John Dewey said, that you don't learn from experience, you learn from reflecting on experience. And I think so few of us do that. And it's a discipline that actually needs to be learned. It's a muscle that needs to be worked. So I don't know that it's about fear. I don't know that it's about laziness or disinterest or anything else. I think it's actually just a skill that people don't embrace.
Okay. So, tell me something, Vasudha, that we heard that people are normally avoiding self-reflection, and we also discussed initially that why self-reflection is so important. Does feedback has a role to play here? Is it that when we get feedback from our peers, our colleagues, our subordinates, does that is the first knock on the door for us to start self-reflecting? Because what I have seen here in my personal life and also in the official setup I operate, that feedback makes people defensive, and in situations it also makes them little aggressive. So is it that they feel that now it's getting them to their level of self-reflection, which they don't want to do, and that's why they avoid feedback? Or do you feel that feedback can have a positive impact in driving someone to go for self-reflection?
Okay. Good question. Yeah. So, firstly, yes, feedback can be very helpful. It's your first. It's like a if you have the right mindset towards feedback, it's gold. Feedback is gold. However you get it, whether it's gentle, whether it's a little harsh, feedback is information, and you want that information. If and that's two things. Um, the issues with feedback, I feel, I mean, people are facing with feedback in terms of getting defensive or resistance to feedback, right? Why is that happening? One is because if you don't have a very good sense of self, imagine like an empty bowl or something like that, right? if I have not thought of, or I have not reflected, right? I've not reflected on my experience, like Olivia mentioned. There's kind of a vacuum. That means you get to tell me what I am, what I did right, what I didn't do right, without me knowing where I stand. So the world gets to dictate to you your competence, your self worth, all of that. That's where I think one kind of resistance or defensiveness to feedback comes in, because it's just viewed as, oh, this is why I'm not good enough, and there's all these strategies about, okay, say the good stuff first and then say the areas to improve on, or flip it over, things like that. I don't think that matters as much. It's you need to do the work first. So again, back to awareness and acceptance first. And in a Happy Turtling, we use this even to help people make the right decisions. Before you go to see what options are out there, get a survey of your internal resources, or what's working for you and what's not. Works the same way with feedback. And secondly, um, I think making friends with the idea of criticism, okay, or constructive feedback. Why do we get defensive? Because you feel like someone's attacking you. You feel like, oh, someone's telling me I'm not good enough. That's all most people hear when they get feedback. And maybe it is. You are less defensive if you've made peace. So you've gotten to the past the awareness stage, and you're with the acceptance stage. You've made peace with the fact that, okay, these are the things I probably missed in this instance, or these are the things that maybe I'm not that great at. If you've made your peace with it, that means you're being able to retain your power. So you don't give it away, or you don't need to be defensive. You're just like, yeah, okay, you're right. And that's again, like Olivia supported me earlier, it's a muscle that you build, right? And if it's a stronger muscle, it can hold more tension. So you have a capacity for more criticism. And I think one more point is, in some cases, people are kind of trying to relabel feedback as feed forward. Um, it could help to look at it like that, okay, I'm getting this, but this is not because of you did XYZ wrong, but next time maybe this is what you would like to keep in mind. That's also a mindset shift for the receiver to say, okay, you know what, I'll hear this. Again, we aren't trained to receive feedback or perceive it in a way that's helpful or empowering to us. It's become this disempowering sort of space. And yeah, I feel like that's where evolution can happen on both sides. But it comes from the receiver. And I'm also saying this from a little bit of personal experience, because we're in the third year of building this coaching practice. And now, like I was sharing with Olivia a little earlier, as we get busier and we get exposed to more and more work people, clients, we get more and more feedback. And I had to have this conversation with myself, saying, I need feedback. I don't want people always saying, oh, it was good, or I had a good session in different ways, or my engagement with you was productive. I want to know where I can do better, because I want to do better. That's why I was like, tell me if something didn't work, anything that could be better. And then people also have a little bit of resistance that, okay, I appreciate this person, I respect this person, so I only want to say positive things. There's that as well. That even the giver of feedback may feel like, I'm afraid to show you the mirror because I don't want you to feel bad about yourself.
Now, well said. Olivia, when failure hits, should one look within the mirror or outside the window?
I think both have a place. The thing is, at the end of the day, the only thing that we can control is ourselves. So you can maybe influence other people or be concerned about what's going on or situations. But actually, if you want to be the change agent, if you want a different outcome, your actions and behaviours and thoughts are the only things in your gift. So actually, I'd always say start with the mirror. But the other thing is, in terms of self-feedback, there's a whole brilliant chapter on feedback in our book, of course. But people generally don't give feedback very well. It's a sort of a slap, it's a criticism, it's an attack, sometimes because they're feeling defensive, because maybe they're thinking they did something wrong, so they kind of want to get in there first, all sorts of things. But actually just taking a moment and just hearing what's being said is so important. But I'd say a lot of senior leaders don't actually get feedback. There's very few people who want to stand up to the CEO or the vice president and say, by the way, I think you should have done it this way. It doesn't happen. So I think the other thing about being reflective is to notice that all of us get feedback all of the time. If we notice what other people are doing. So, if you're always late to meetings and by the third time someone's like looking at their watch, they're giving you feedback. Now, you might not even think that you're late for meetings, but if someone's sort of going, oh, you're here now, there's a clue. If, I don't know, someone says, if you could just let me finish, there's some feedback. You spoke over them. So again, it comes to self-awareness, to the fact that the acceptance piece Vasudha was talking about, I am not perfect. If I can accept that I am not perfect, then I can notice where I could change. But if we're brittle and we're scared and we're just a child inside who's worried about being told off or doing wrong or failure or whatever else, then yeah, of course we're going to push back. People don't understand what it's like for us. Other people have much easier rides than us. So if there is a failure, yeah, you've got to look at yourself very carefully and then look at what went well. Because the psychology behind how we hear these messages is actually, if someone does give you a this went well and this didn't, you'll hear what didn't and you'll probably just dismiss what went well. So really focusing on, okay, so there was some sort of project failure. But what did we do? Which were the good things? Which were the not so good things? What did I personally do? How did I behave? How did I act, react, make decisions? And then you can see it in a more rounded way and notice that actually these bits went really well. This is the problem. This is the problem. And then you can start to move forward.
Thanks, Olivia, for this. And I think that's bringing us close to the end of our show. But Vasudha, very quickly, any useful tips, any useful insights you would like to share to the young professionals who are following Boss versus Coach as to how can they start practicing self-reflection so that they remain aware, self-aware, in fact?
Oh, definitely. This is actually more of a personal win, if I may say so myself. Journaling, writing. I constantly write. Anything I'm feeling, whatever I'm feeling. That's the first place. Like, I would, of course, recommend every young person to find a safe space where they can speak. So a kind of a coach, a mentor, even if it's, a therapist that you feel you can, speak to. All of these are good places for self-reflection because these people, it's their job to show you the mirror and show you parts of yourself that you may not be aware of or may find it difficult to accept. But just to do on your own, something that doesn't really cost anything at all. Journal, write, just be with yourself, even if you're just sitting with your eyes open, doing absolutely nothing for 5 minutes. It's great to reflect because your subconscious mind is doing a lot of work. It will bring to the forefront what you could have done better, what actually worked for you. You remember things. You'll think of something that happened 3 days ago, and you'll be like, "Hey, damn! I actually did that. I did that well." Or, "Oh, maybe I missed out on this." Your mind wants to reflect all the time. So I would say start in these two places, but it's always good to have, I would say, another human as well. We could say ChatGPT is a good place as well, but please take it with a bucket of salt because I think beyond 5 or 10 minutes of a conversation on this topic with any kind of Gen AI, it's not going to help you because you'll end up in just a loop, a self-validating loop, and that's not very conducive to awareness. But yeah, I think I would say that.
Thank you, Vasudha. Thank you, Olivia. And that brings us to the close of the show. So we heard Vasudha and Olivia sharing their useful insights, sharing their reflections and their understanding on how mirror is the mentor, how we can use mirror to self coach ourselves. Why is it important for us to be self realizing, self aware before we go out and start coaching others? A gentle reminder, mirror never lie, but yes, at times they do negotiate morale, but that's mirror. It just doesn't show up who you are. It also shows what you are becoming. Each time you to choose self-awareness over autopilot. So tomorrow morning, my suggestion to the viewers is spend 30 seconds, do a self-reflection, look at the mirror and just ask yourself, would I follow me today? Because he who knows the world is wise, but he who knows himself is enlightened. On that note, thank you very much. Keep watching Boss vs. Coach, and our book is available on Amazon. Go buy and make use of these useful insights. Bye bye. Thank you. Stay tuned.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Vasudha. Thank you,
Bye.
Olivia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.